are going to talk about the relationship between plants and insects. Most plants need a pollinator to produce seeds to make new plants. Pollen contains the male reproductive cells in a plant, and it must be transported to the female structures of another plant. What can do that for the plants? The plants can't move. Well, pollinators can do that. Pollinators are living things, or maybe even non-living things, that move pollen from one plant to another. They are very important to native plants and agricultural crops. They help to ensure that we have food to eat. So different types of pollinators. Insects can be pollinators, but there are other pollinators that aren't insects. Can you think of any? A couple of examples are hummingbirds, bats can be pollinators, humans can be pollinators, and actually the wind, which is blowing my hair around right now, can be a pollinator. It can move pollen from one plant to another. One insect that is a great pollinator are bees. Bees and native plants developed along with each other many, many years before humans were around, so they have a really, really strong relationship. There are hundreds of different types of bees in Illinois. In fact, there are 400 to 500 different types. Bees are insects with 3 body parts and 2 pairs of really thin wings. They can live alone, solitary by themselves, or they can live in communities. Female bees are the only bees that have stingers. Males do not have stingers. And a lot of times female bees will leave you alone. The only time they might sting you is if you step on them, if you handle them or you try to touch them, or if maybe they get caught in your hair. Sometimes honeybees or bumblebees can defend their nest, so they will be a little bit protective of their nest, so they can sting you. But most of the times, bees leave you alone. Bees, in order to raise their young and lay their eggs, have to build a nest. So some bees build their nests in holes in trees, and some bees dig tunnels into the ground and lay their eggs and build their nests in the ground. So here is an example of a bumblebee working on one of our plants here at Gardner Camp. So native plants and native insects have developed together for many years. And pollinator numbers, bees and different types of butterflies, any type of pollinator, their numbers are actually in decline. So many people are trying to help pollinators by planting and creating different pollinator gardens or pollinator plots. So we are sitting in our little small pollinator plot here at Gardner Camp. And we have planted different types of flowers that will invite pollinators to our area. So butterflies specifically like different types of colors of flowers. So they like white flowers, they like yellow flowers, pink and purple flowers. So I've got a few examples of some of the flowers that we have planted here at Gardner Camp. You saw before that we have some swamp milkweed, which is a native milkweed that grows down here in our wetland area. These are prairie species that we've planted. This one here is a, purple coneflower that we've planted, and these will attract different types of insects and pollinators. So we also have another type of flower that we have planted. Of course, pollinator plots are going to have a whole bunch of different flowering plants because that's what invites the pollinators to come. You might have a few grasses in your pollinator plot, but there's going to be a lot of flowers or forbs. This here is a black-eyed Susan. So we have, obviously it has a bright yellow petal. So that one's going to attract pollinators. We have also here, this is called a partridge pea. So this is part of the pea family. Of course, clover and this partridge pea are very closely related. So this is going to attract all different types of butterflies. And of course, with its yellow color, it's going to attract them too. I also have a vervain. This is a tinier purple flower here, or pink flower, and it's going to again attract different types of pollinators. Now, in order to develop a good pollinator plot, you have to have these different types of flowers that bloom all summer long. So you want to have early spring blooming flowers, the middle of the summer flowers, and late summer flowers, so that you're feeding all different stages of the pollinator. So you want to have host plants where the eggs are going to be laid. You want to have plants that feed the caterpillars or the larval stage. And you also want to have plants in there that are going to feed the adult stage, so that are producing nectar and that the adults will eat. So you want to make sure when you are thinking about planting a pollinator garden that you think about all those factors. Thank you for joining us today in our Gardner Camp pollinator plot. Hopefully you learned a little bit more about bees, pollinators, and what you can grow in order to attract more pollinators to your backyard. My challenge to you is for you to go outside and look around to see what types of flowers and what colors of flowers that might attract pollinators. Thank you for joining us again, and I hope to see you at Gardner Camp.